once the most feared warriors on earth. They burned cities, destroyed kingdoms, and built the largest land empire in human history. For centuries, their name became a symbol of terror itself. But then, history took a turn nobody expected. Because the descendants of those same conquerors would eventually kneel before Tibetan monks, and one day, a Mongol child would be declared the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama, a descendant of empire chosen as a living Buddha. This is the forgotten story of the Mongol who became Dalai Lama. In the 13th century, the world changed forever. Across the endless grasslands of Mongolia, tribes united under one man, Genghis Khan, a leader whose ambition would reshape human history. Under Genghis Khan, the Mongol armies moved faster than any force the world had ever seen. Entire cities disappeared beneath smoke and fire. From China to Persia to Eastern Europe, the Mongols conquered almost everything in their path. Some cities surrendered immediately, others resisted. Those cities often vanished forever. The Mongols became more than warriors. They became a nightmare. Parents terrified children with stories of them. Kings feared them. Empires collapsed before them. But strangely, after conquering so much of the world, the Mongols began searching for something else. Not land, not gold, not power. Meaning. Far beyond the Mongol steppe, hidden among the Himalayas, stood Tibet. To outsiders, Tibet felt almost mythical, a land of mountain monasteries, silent monks, ancient rituals, and powerful spiritual masters believed to reincarnate after death. For centuries, Buddhism had transformed Tibetan society. Monks advised rulers, meditation became central to life, and powerful religious schools competed for influence. One of them, the Gelug school, was growing rapidly, disciplined, organized, ambitious. Its spiritual leaders would eventually become known as the Dalai Lamas. But at that time, the title did not yet exist, and strangely, it would be created by a Mongol ruler. By the 1500s, the Mongol Empire had fragmented. The glory of Genghis Khan was fading. Mongol tribes fought each other constantly. One ruler hoped to change that, Altan Khan. Altan Khan understood something important. Military strength alone could not unite the Mongols anymore. He needed ideology, faith, a shared identity. So in 1578, he invited a Tibetan monk to Mongolia, Yonten Gyatso. Their meeting would change history forever. The monk, Yonten Gyatso, saw opportunity too. If the Mongols embraced Tibetan Buddhism, his religious school would gain immense protection and influence. The alliance was perfect. The Mongols gained spiritual legitimacy, and Tibetan Buddhism gained powerful military protectors. Then, during that historic meeting, Altan Khan gave Yonten Gyatso a new title, Dalai Lama. Dalai, a Mongolian word meaning ocean, ocean of wisdom. And from that moment, the destinies of Mongolia and Tibet became deeply connected. Something extraordinary happened after the alliance. Mongol tribes began converting to Tibetan Buddhism. The descendants of conquerors started building monasteries, funding monks, studying philosophy, even practicing meditation. It was one of the most unexpected transformations in world history. The same culture, once associated with destruction, was now embracing compassion and spiritual discipline. And nowhere was this transformation stronger than inside the bloodline of Altan Khan himself. Because in 1589, a child was born. A child many believed carried the soul of a holy man. His name was Yonten Gyatso. Born into Mongol royalty, a direct descendant of Altan Khan. But from the beginning, rumors surrounded the child. Tibetan monks and oracles reportedly predicted that the next reincarnation of the Dalai Lama would appear in Mongolia. Search parties traveled north, looking for signs, visions, sacred clues. Eventually, they found the boy. According to Tibetan tradition, the child successfully identified objects belonging to the previous Dalai Lama. To the monks, this confirmed everything. The Mongol child was declared the fourth Dalai Lama. This shocked many people because he was not Tibetan. He came from the bloodline of warriors, the descendants of the empire that once shook the world. And now, that bloodline sat at the center of Tibetan Buddhism. At around 10 years old, Yonten Gyatso began the dangerous journey to Tibet. Imagine the scene: a young boy crossing mountains and frozen passes, surrounded by monks, royal officials, and nearly 1,000 Mongol cavalry soldiers. This was not simply a religious ceremony. It was political, a display of power. The Mongols were sending a message. They now stood behind the Gelug school. And when the child finally arrived in Lhasa, he was enthroned as the fourth Dalai Lama. A Mongol had become Tibet's highest spiritual leader, but not everyone accepted him. Tibet during this era was deeply unstable. Religious schools competed for power. Regional rulers fought for control, and many Tibetans were uncomfortable with a foreign-born Dalai Lama, especially one supported by Mongol military influence. To some people, this looked less like spirituality and more like foreign interference. Opposition grew quickly. Rival factions challenged the authority of the young Dalai Lama. Violence erupted. At one point, supporters of rival schools reportedly attacked Drepung Monastery itself. The young Dalai Lama was forced to flee. Imagine being a teenager, carrying the spiritual hopes of an entire religion while surrounded by political enemies. Yonten Gyatso lived between two worlds, Mongol by blood, Tibetan by destiny. Despite the chaos surrounding him, Yonten Gyatso dedicated himself to Buddhist study. He trained under powerful teachers, studied philosophy, learned rituals, received monastic vows, and eventually became abbot of major monasteries. But behind the spiritual world, political tensions kept growing, because whoever controlled the Dalai Lama could influence Tibet itself. The boy had become far more than a religious figure. He was now part of a struggle for the future of Tibet, and sadly, his story would not last long. In 1617, Yonten Gyatso died suddenly. He was only 27 years old. Almost immediately, rumors spread across Tibet. Some believed he had been poisoned. Others suspected political enemies wanted him removed. No one knows the truth. But his death created a dangerous power vacuum. Tibet remained divided. Religious factions still competed for dominance, and the alliance between Mongols and Tibetan Buddhism continued growing stronger. Ironically, the short life of the Mongol Dalai Lama helped change Tibet forever, because after his death, another Dalai Lama would rise, one who would completely transform Tibetan history. After Yonten Gyatso's death, a new reincarnation was discovered, Awang Lobsang Gyatso, later known as the Great Fifth. With strong Mongol military support, the fifth Dalai Lama unified much of Tibet politically and spiritually. For the first time, the Dalai Lama became both a spiritual and political ruler. The institution gained enormous power, and in many ways, that transformation began with the Mongol alliance created generations earlier. Without the Mongols, the history of Tibet may have looked completely different. Today, the image of the Dalai Lama represents peace, compassion, and spirituality. But hidden behind that image is a forgotten chapter of history, a story of steppe warriors, political alliances, mountain monasteries, and a Mongol child chosen to become a living Buddha. Because centuries after the Mongols conquered much of the known world, their descendants reached the highest throne in Tibetan Buddhism, and for one brief moment in history, the spirit of the Mongol Empire ruled the Himalayas.